All right, going into the recovery question of the day. What does the process of change look like? So what I'm going to share with you is the process of change that I've seen inside of my life. And I believe it holds true for other people also. But the first process of change is really facing your excuses. Looking at your justifications and looking at the areas that you're minimizing. And once you begin to face the truth about this, you begin to engage in the process of change. And as long as you're still making excuses, is that, you know what, this drinking is not that bad. I only get drunk on the weekends. I only get drunk 3 days a week. I only get drunk at nights. I only get drunk blah, 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 right? Or I only use when this happens, or I only use on days that end with Y, or I only use in the morning. And all these excuses are the stories we tell ourselves to keep us stuck in the same situation that we are in. And as long as we continue in those excuses, then we don't change. And the goal of those excuses is actually to avoid the pain of change. And so what we're doing is we're minimizing, and that is we've got a pretty big problem. It's a pretty big problem that is destroying a certain part of our life. For some people, alcohol hasn't affected you much, except your relationship. Except the relationship with your wife. You're coming home drunk, you're fighting a lot, you've engaged in infidelity, and now you're cheating, and all these different things are taking place. But you might be rocking in your financial life, you might be doing okay in the other areas. And so the reality is stop minimizing. You still have a big problem. The problem is still pretty big. It's affecting one area of your life in a very dramatic fashion. And so what we do is we take something that's pretty big and it's affecting us in a very powerful way, and we make it small. And that is, we begin to rationalize, we begin to make excuses, and we begin to shrink it so we can avoid taking responsibility, and so we can avoid making the change. So that goes into the awareness of the pain. And this is the delusion of addiction that we think the pleasure outweighs the pain. But there comes a moment of clarity when we stop making excuses and we stop minimizing, and we see the damage and we see the consequences, and the pleasure continuum begins to shift. And that is, whereas once pleasure's up here and pain's down here, all of a sudden it seesaws. And that is, the pain begins to increase and the pleasure begins to go down. Now all of a sudden the consequences of our addiction is really, really high. And we pull our head out of the sand, or out of our hind end, and we get the awareness and begin to recognize the pain that it is causing. And that leads us to step 3 that I believe in this process of change is you get disgusted. And that is, you're looking at the consequences, you're looking at where your life has gone, and all of a sudden this disgust begins to set in. And then you start entertaining thoughts of, man, something's got to give. Something's got to change. I can't continue doing this any longer. This is not bringing me the life that I want. I am living way below my potential, and something has got to change. And that is a powerful place to be in. The next step, as you begin to contemplate all this, it says, you know what? I'm going to make some different decisions, and I'm going to go all in with these decisions. And that is that, I'm going to seek help, I'm going to seek support, I'm going to seek accountability, and I'm going to go in this direction. And that is a choice that has been made due to the disgust that is taking place inside of your life. And this sets you on the process of responsibility. And that is, now you thoroughly understand that the choices that you have make define the direction that your life is going. and you begin to take responsibility for your actions and your attitudes and your mindsets and your belief systems, and your whole life becomes one of personal responsibility. Once that begins to set in, this powerful change begins to get cemented inside of our lives. And then what do? We begin to help others through this same process. And that is a powerful reality.